Let's bring in author and co-chair of Project 21, Horace Cooper. It's great to have you on, sir. The country bracing for more riots, reports of calls to refund the police in cities that defunded the police. What misconceptions do you see in this debate?
Well, there's two things. One is there clearly is no justification for the claim that to be a black man in America means that you're being targeted by law enforcement. The evidence does not bear that out. The number of shootings does not bear that out. In fact, you're more likely to be shot if you're white than if you're black. But the second lie is that this represents, even if not true, the idea and understanding of black Americans. That also is a falsehood. It turns out that black men, who are less than 7% of the American population, make up more than 11% of all law enforcement in America. If I told you that less than 7% of the population was black and more than 11% of the prison population was black, the people would immediately respond with, well, that tells us a lot. I'm telling you that black Americans are committed to law enforcement by putting a disproportionate percentage of black men in the role of protecting Americans. And who are the Americans that are needing protection? All Americans benefit from a law and order circumstance, but black Americans and other minorities disproportionately participate and benefit when law and order exists or is restored.
We hear you.
Do you know Rosa Parks?
We don't. Yeah, go ahead.
Rosa Parks was a civil rights leader, but she left Alabama and she moved to Michigan. The media failed to report that her home was broken in the late 1990s when we were looking away from crime enforcement, and she was beat to the point of hospitalization. How many Americans today are going to have to be the new Rosa Parks, living in these communities where they live in fear? That is the reason black Americans disproportionately say we want higher enforcement, law enforcement presence, and we want higher funding levels for law enforcement. The media narrative, to the contrary, is a lie, and it does not reflect where black America actually is.
We hear you. Critics also saying, is Rashida Tlaib going to her home district in Michigan to say, get rid of the police? We don't see her doing that. We don't see Maxine Waters going to her home district in Los Angeles County to say, get up in the police face, in the police face of police officers. And, you know, she was in 2018 saying, get up in Trump officials' faces at restaurants, department stores, gas stations. Now we've got a defense witness in the George Floyd trial getting pig blood smeared on his home and a pig's head left at his home in Santa Rosa. By the way, it's his former home. He no longer lives there. So we're seeing generational highs in violent crime, and all this going on as we see also mass shootings taking place across the country when we need the police to help out and defend us. What do you say?
We're sending, the mainstream media is, these progressive elites, so many of these elected officials in Washington, even if they don't tell you directly to confront the police, they are undermining the authority, the rightfulness of the behavior of law enforcement. They undermine it, and we are seeing a wave of crime taking place. Here today, 21st century, 2021, we are in the middle of a pandemic that has had devastating effects on our economy, particularly in those communities where the so-called blue progressive mindset has wiped out industry. Black Americans, brown Americans, and other Americans are particularly hard hit. The last thing these communities need is to have law enforcement shunned in their areas. It will make it nearly impossible for them to recover. Terrible schooling policies, now with no schooling policies in these communities, are going to lead to generational consequences. Shame on these individuals for condemning law enforcement in that environment.
And we also have the mother of Breonna Taylor. She was shot in a no-knock warrant by police. She's saying that Black Lives Matters is, quote, a fraud in a since-deleted post. We also have Florida Governor Ron DeSantis saying, we're not going to defund the police of Florida. He signed an anti-riot law. And final bit of news here, former HUD Secretary Ben Carson, sir, has an op-ed today saying, you know, this is turning upside down what Martin Luther King said. The race wars today are judging people based on the color of their skin. MLK said you look at a person's character inside. Your final word, sir.
These actions are a slur against America, America's founding on the idea that the citizen was going to decide policy, and we fought together, side by side, to stand up for Martin Luther King's vision that the citizen was going to be someone judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. Today's progressives are asking us to do exactly that, the opposite of that, and it is harming us all.
Horace Cooper, you were terrific. Come back soon. It's great to see you.
Thank you.